welcome to yet another episode of Mental Odyssey. Today's podcast, I have a very special guest, my papa. He is my mom's dad, and he's been a very influential person in my life. And as on this season, we're delving into these questions. If you listen to the first podcast, you'll know what the questions are. If not, then this is going to be a surprise for you. So this is going to be my podcast with my papa. Hello, Papa.
Hello.
Welcome to the podcast. Thank you for being here.
Well, it's going to be an interesting experience.
Yes, yes, it will be. So I did brief you on the questions, but I'm just going to go straight into it. The first question that I have for you is, how would you recommend to handle rejection?
Okay, well, that's really a tough one. So first of all, I guess if you've got your wits about you, you'll ask yourself, are they rejecting you, or are they rejecting an idea of yours? And is it something that's emotional or spiritual?
Mm-hmm.
What kind of rejection is it?
That's a really good question.
So I've got an experience. I worked for 25 years in the mining industry, and I had gone almost 5 years for an undergraduate degree and then 3 more years for a PhD. So I had 8 years invested in college, almost 8 years, and then 25 years in the mining business.
Oh my goodness, 33 years total?
Yeah.
Wow.
And then I got laid off because the company I was working for, the price of their main product was still very cheap, and I made a lot of money, and so they had to let me go. And so first thing I did was we immediately, my wife and I, Colleen, immediately started cutting our expenses.
Yeah.
Eating beans instead of hamburger.
Mm-hmm.
And so my career was in mining, and most of the other people that were getting laid off tried to be consultants, and there was not enough work for all the consultants. And I could work in either Kazakhstan or the Philippines or the middle of Alaska and be away for 2 months and back home for a month.
Ugh.
And that didn't sound very exciting.
No.
So we sold our real estate investments. We had some really nice lots that we anticipated would appreciate, and we'd be able to make some good money from them in the future. And we sold all of them, and all of them have $1 million+ homes built on them now.
Oh, no.
But anyway, Colleen decided that we could sell real estate together because we had bought and sold a lot of real estate for ourselves and had done well. So we've been selling real estate for the past 29 years.
I can imagine that being doing something like mining for 33 years, going to 25, going to school for 8 years. Like, did it bother you? Like, was it hard to go through?
Yes, and it's still hard to go through. The thing about the jobs that I had, I was always one of a team, and you could look back at the end of a week or a month or a year, and you could see some things you had accomplished.
Mm-hmm.
In real estate, you could look back and see the number of homes that you had sold, and that was good, but it wasn't as rewarding
Right.
to me as what I had prepared and experienced in mining for so long.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, that's a big difference. It's a big difference.
So going back to the original question is, how do you handle rejection? I would say you consider the options and prayerfully move on with the best one. And that might take you weeks or even months.
Mm-hmm.
Just months to go through that whole process and changing from one major career to another one.
Yeah, give yourself the space to go through it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a really nice answer. Thank you for that, Papa. So the next question that I have is, what is the antidote to loneliness in your experience?
Well, I think it's about don't find yourself in a situation where you have no alternatives. If you find friends, hopefully you have friends in your family, in your church, your neighborhood, the groups that you belong to, at work. You can volunteer. There's lots of ways that you can contact people as long as you're not afraid to talk to people.
Right.
You can introduce yourself and become, you can then pick and choose from all the people that you start to know which ones you want to have as your friends.
Right. That's a really good idea.
You can text any of them, like your family, and you can text and call and talk and build relationships with your own family, with people from church, even getting out and walking, meeting people in your neighborhood, building rapport with them, different groups. Like I sing and I've played in an orchestra, and so I've got lots of people in what I would say is my sphere of influence. And so how can you be lonely if
when you have so many people?
Build a lot of relationships and decide to go about interacting with them.
Yeah. No, that's awesome feedback. I really like that. I think that's so true, is don't get so down on yourself that you stop communicating or stop going out of your way to have those connections, because you never know when you're going to need somebody to reach out to.
Yeah. And you're really good about that. You go out of your way to be friendly and cheerful, and you're good about including others in your life.
Thank you, Papa. I appreciate you saying that and observing it.
Yep. Are you ready to go on to your next one about
yes,
how to pick a career?
Yes, yeah. Let's go ahead and go to that one.
Well, that was pretty easy for me. I was good in junior high and high school in chemistry and physics and math. And I had joined the Utah Air National Guard. and I was in basic training down at Lackland Air Force Base in Texas, near San Antonio. And one day, when the mail came in, we were out drilling. It was about noon, and the red flag has gone up and had gone up. And when the red flag goes up, that means it's 105 degrees.
Ugh.
So the drill instructor is supposed to dismiss you to go back to where there's some air conditioning.
Mm.
But they usually didn't see the red flag, and all of us were too timid to say, the red flag's up.
Yeah, you don't
Anyway,
talk back.
Yeah. So the mail came out, and there was this big package for me one day, and I opened it up, and there was a thing from the University of Utah, and it was about all the different classes, and can't remember what they called it, but there was also a letter that said, because you did so well in chemistry, physics, and math, we want to offer you a full-time scholarship in metallurgical engineering.
Whoa! So they paid for your doctorate?
Well, that came later, but this was my undergraduate.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a no-brainer.
So I looked at it and I said, okay, it looks like the classes my freshman and sophomore year are pretty much the same kind that I'd take if I was going into chemical engineering. I wanted to be an engineer, and like chemistry, I thought that meant chemical engineering.
Right.
So I figured, okay, I'll go in metallurgical engineering, and as long as I like it, and it seems like the kind of thing I'd like to do, I'll stay with it. If not, I will transfer and go into chemical engineering.
Yeah.
So that was the options, either a full ride scholarship or pay my own way.
Right.
So
I'll go for free.
Full ride scholarship.
Yes. Yeah. That one's a no-brainer. Especially because you can kind of transfer the knowledge from one class or the degrees for one, or the classes for one degree to the other degree. So
Yeah,
that's nice.
For the first couple of years, that was true, but then it becomes very
like specialized.
But a lot of the classes, you had some fundamental classes in chemistry, physics, electrical engineering, mechanical engineering, those kinds of things that were similar. So those would have transferred also if I'd made the change, let's say in my junior year. I maybe could have done it. It would have taken me another year probably.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Chemical engineer.
Yeah, that wouldn't have been too bad. That's a really good option that was presented to you.
Yeah.
And so you went to school and you ended up really liking it?
Yeah.
Nice.
And then I was finishing up my undergraduate, and one of the professors talked to me and said, what would you think of going to graduate school and getting a PhD? Because we have there's a fellowship called NDEA, National Defense Education Act, and it would be full ride plus pay some of your living costs, pretty much all of our living costs, because we were eating pretty meagerly at that point in time.
Right. Just eating beans. Beans don't cost too much.
Yeah. So that's how I ended up going all the way through to get my PhD,
That's
become
way
doctor.
cool. That's so cool. And so did you know with that degree that you were going to go into mining, or is that something that just kind of came up?
Something stated, but I was thinking of the possibility of being a professor, and that's what I actually did for the first couple of years.
Oh, that's cool. You would have made an amazing professor.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I taught at the University of Missouri at Rolla, which is part of the University of Missouri system, and it's about 100 miles southwest of St. Louis.
Nice.
So we had about 7,000 students. Most of them were engineering, and I taught mineral processing and coal preparation.
And that's something that you learned about with your degree?
I learned the mineral processing part, and I had to learn coal preparation and teach it.
Oh, nice. That's really cool. So then theory turned into actually doing the mining.
Actually, because I learned coal preparation, and I also worked for a company in Salt Lake after we left Missouri. And so I became, moved to Palo Alto, California, and I was director of the coal cleaning program for the Electric Power Research Institute.
That's so interesting how it all just kind of like lines up. It's like
Yeah,
you get offered something and then that leads to the next one and then the next one.
almost, I would say all of my jobs came from referrals from the work that I had done previously.
Mhm. Like stepping stones almost. They led directly into each other. That's really
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. If you do good work, people will be looking for people like you. And there's an expression, it's called the cream will rise to the top. And that's what's going to happen to you too.
Oh, thank you, Papa. I hope you're right.
I am right.
You're like, I know it already.
Yep.
Oh, that's sweet of you. Well,
So
do you?
the
Yes.
last question, are we ready to go on?
Yes.
How is it to be in a long-term relationship? Well, I guess my longest term relationship would be with my wonderful wife, Colleen. June 8th of next year, we will celebrate our 60th wedding anniversary,
Wow.
and that's totally awesome.
That is.
And we will celebrate it with 6 kids and 19 grandchildren and 10 great grandchildren.
It's already up to 10? Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That's so crazy.
So I didn't have a lot of bullets under that, but it's a wonderful thing to have a spouse that you have common goals with and a wonderful family and posterity.
Absolutely. Absolutely. How has it been like growing with each other? Because you guys were, I mean, 60 years. That's a lot of years. And you guys were both really, to me, obviously times are different, but to me, you were both really young when you got married. So how was it to like grow together?
I had gone on a mission for, as you know, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And I got back from my mission. And so first thing you do is you start dating a bunch of girls and you try to find one that's going to work for you. I wanted to be a father and grandfather and so on.
Yeah.
And I was dating Colleen's girlfriend, and she gave herself a going away party, and she was going back to BYU, and she invited Colleen to come to the going away party.
Oh my goodness.
And she and I talked for most of the night.
Aw.
And then we started dating. Again, I was playing basketball, freshman basketball at the University of Utah. And so one of the guys from her church, what they call a ward, he and I were talking one day after playing basketball, working out, and he said, Colleen really enjoyed going out with you the other night. And I said, she did?
Aw.
So we dated a couple more times and got engaged, and 6 months later we got married.
Wow. And 60 years on, still going strong.
60 years on, yeah.
Wow. That's awesome. So I have a question about your timeline. I know that this is kind of like outside of what you prepared for, but as you were talking, so you went on a mission when you were 18, right? And that was 2 years.
19,
Oh,
back in those,
it was 19?
it was 19.
Oh my goodness. So when did you go into was it the Air
Air National
Force?
Guard.
Yes, that one.
I signed up between my junior and senior year in high school,
Oh my goodness.
and we had every month we would have a weekend, and we would go out to the airport and learn what it was going to be like. I was in the 130th ACNW squadron, which was aircraft control and warning.
Ooh.
So I was going to be a radar operator. So we did that, and then as soon as I graduated, I was off to Texas. And one of the interesting things that happened there, I was 155 pounds, 6'7". Wait a minute, 6'4". And 7 weeks later, I was 6'7", 175 pounds.
Oh my goodness.
20 pounds and 3 inches in 7 weeks.
Oh my goodness. That's crazy.
So then I came back. I went to the University of Utah for about 2 quarters. We had quarters instead of semesters back then. And of course, this was on the full ride scholarship.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went on a mission to England, came back, went to school, most of that part. And then after being a professor for a couple of years, I became director of metallurgical research for a major mining company in Missouri, because the previous director was just retiring and I had worked there the previous summer. So they offered me the job. They liked the work I had done.
That's awesome. They asked specifically for you.
Yeah.
Oh, that's way cool.
And then I did that for 4 years, and we had bought a farm in 312 acres. We bought 40 head of Herefords. And then we thought we ought to be raising registered Angus. So we sold the 40 cows with calves and ended up starting into the registered Angus business. And then the price of cattle dropped. and we couldn't afford to sell all of the calves each year at the end of a year. And so we backgrounded most of them, and then we ended up coming back to Utah after 4 years. I worked 2 years in a company. I was, what'd they call me? Anyway, I directed a group of people trying to do research and development on new equipment. And then went to the Electric Power Research Institute in Sunnyvale. And then I worked for Chevron for 10 years in San Francisco. And then ended up a year up in British Columbia. And up there, we built a 100-mile road into a mine we were developing, and I was the general manager. And then my company sold their interest in the property, and I was out of work, so I came back to Utah and worked for 5 years for Kennecott, Rio Tinto.
Okay.
And they were the ones that finally laid me off because I made a lot of money. The price
You're like,
of copper.
What a way to get laid off.
Yeah.
You're too good,
So that's
and we can't
kind of the
afford you.
timeline. And then we've sold about 250 homes selling real estate the last 29 years.
It's so crazy how many different experiences you've had for a decent amount of time. Like working for Chevron for 10 years and, you know, all of the different things that you did. It's cool that you can have it's like different lifetimes all packed into one.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And we've been on 3 missions for our church. We were in a downtown Salt Lake City mission for 2 years. We were on a full-time mission to England around Leeds, Leeds, England. That's where Colleen's grandmother joined the church.
Oh, that's cool.
And then we worked in our own stake, full-time missionaries, for a year and a half in the North Salt Lake Parkway stake. So that's kind of like my timeline.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing that. So the mission that you went on by yourself, was that, you said you went to England for that one. Was that close to where you guys went to in Leeds, or was that a whole new?
That was in the southwest part of England, and where we were was in the northeast.
Oh, that's way cool. So you got to see both sides of it then?
Yeah.
Which one did you prefer?
England has about 60 million people, plus or minus. You'd think the whole island would be filled with people, but it's mostly filled with people in cities and towns, and there's 99% of it that is farming or raising sheep or cattle.
That's crazy, because it's not even that big. Like in the grand scheme of things, it's not that big.
Yeah.
So that it's probably really, really big buildings in the big cities.
Well, in London it is, but most of the cities and towns it's not.
Huh. I would love to go and visit London or England sometime. That's something that I've always wanted to do. Ever since you guys went on your mission, I was like, that would be a really cool place to go and visit.
Well, and my ancestors were from there also, so
oh, that was awesome.
Fun for me.
Yeah, getting to go and
but it was a lot of work.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I can imagine.
Lots and lots of work.
Well, thank you so much for coming on here, Papa. I really enjoyed learning more about you and hearing your perspective on things. And yeah, it's been really nice.
I appreciate the opportunity to share it with you and for you to know a little bit more about your papa.
Yes, this was awesome. Next time I come up with questions, I'll have you on again.
Oh, okay.
All right, Pop, I love you. Thank
Love
you
you.
again. All right.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Mental Odyssey is a Dream and Do podcast, produced and edited by yours truly. The music is owned by Chill Hop, and this song is Velocities by Sleepy Fish. Go check them out. Thanks for being here.